Although the isCOBOL IDE is based on Eclipse and it's a popular development tool for a lot of our customers, we offer an extension for Vscode as well, or Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is a simpler code editor that doesn't have a graphical screen generator. It's free and it's available from Microsoft. It can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux. It already includes integrated support for a lot of programming languages like JavaScript, but other languages are supported through extensions, and now that includes isCOBOL. We added our extension in version 2023 R1, so you can work with your isCOBOL programs easily inside of Visual Studio Code. And you get benefits like the in-app configuration setting, running and debugging from the editor, code suggestions and highlighting. Now this video is going to cover installing Vscode and the extension, and then we'll run our sample program. So here are the steps. Install Java if you need to. Then install Vscode if you don't already have it. The Vscode extension uses the isCOBOL SDK, so installing this is the next step. And as always, you'll need a license from isCOBOL. And then go to isCOBOL support site and download the Vscode extension. Now, just like you would set up the workspace for your project in an IDE, you want to set up some options in Vscode. At a minimum, you'll make sure that the settings include the paths to your Java and to your isCOBOL SDK installations. Vscode works with projects, so you'll need to create a project structure to compile, run, and debug your programs. The default folders created are copy, list, output, and source. And then once you've created those folders, you just move your project files into the folders and you're ready to go. So let's do that. So let's start by downloading Vscode. I've gone to the address that I showed in the slides earlier, and I'm on Windows, so I'm going to download for Windows. And I'll click on Open File to start the installation. I'm going to take all of the defaults. And it's done. We'll run it. And there's Visual Studio. We'll come back to it in just a minute. The second step is to install the SDK, and I have already installed the isCOBOL SDK. I'm using 2024 R2, the current version as of this recording. The next step is to download the extension. So we'll go to our customer support site, and I'll log in and go down to Download Software and scroll down to the Platform Independent section. And under there is what I want with the extension of VSIX. So I'll click on that to download it. And when it's done, we'll bring Visual Studio Code back up. It wants me to choose a theme, and for this video I'm going to choose the light theme. And then these icons over here on the left, there are 5 of them. I'm going to click on the extensions, this one right here. And then the ellipsis, and install from VSIX. In the Downloads folder, I'll click on the extension that I just downloaded. You can see here it's working. And now it's installed. And my version is 1.6.3. There's a lot of good information here. But we're going to jump right in. Let's maximize the window. And we'll click on the Explorer, this top icon, and we're going to open up our sample folder. So I'm in my 2024 R2. I'll click on Sample and down to Vscode. And I want to select this folder with all of these files in it. I do need to say that I trust the authors, and here's our project. I've opened IO indexed up in the editor, and I wanted to show you some of the features. We have a code map on the side over here to quickly move around in the code. You can split the screen very easily by clicking on this icon on the top right. You can see the syntax coloring. When you're developing, there are suggested variables and paragraphs based on the COBOL syntax that you type, and there's a lot of other benefits that you should check out. Now, I want to check my environment that I'm going to run in, so I'm going to go back to extensions, and here in my isCOBOL extension, I'm going to click on the Manage or Settings button and go down to Settings. Now, this demo project came with some settings already set. I'm going to click on Workspace. It's going to compile with a -D for debug. Some other things, max array length 25, things like that. But the important ones that must be filled in are the JDK root, the JRE root, and the SDK folder. Those are mandatory. So let's go back to our workspace. And I want to compile them all. So I'm going to use this icon in the top right. I could also compile them with a Control and F9. My output window is down here. And they're all compiled successfully. I can look at my output folder and see the classes. If I wanted to make a change and just compile this one, I can right-click in the screen and go down to Compile Current Source. And you can see I also have Compile Project and run the current file. But I want to run the whole project. So up here on the right, again, next to the Compile icon is a Run icon, or you can hit Shift and F5. So we'll do that now. And it's done. Now, if I want to debug, the fourth icon with the little bug on it in front of the Run icon is how you debug. So I'll click on that. I'm going to click on Run and Debug. And this will pop up here in the middle at the top. I'm going to choose the COBOL debug. And here we're running in debug. Here's our debug line. Here's our commands for debugging up here. So let's step through. And we'll step out. You can get more information about Visual Studio Code at the link on the screen, or you can get more information about the isCOBOL extension in our documentation. We have a whole book on it. And if you have any questions, you can send them to support@variant.com. Thank you.